Well, for once, the weather here at the Royal Windsor Horse Show is superb. You wouldn't believe it, but normally it's pouring with rain, hop deep in mud.
It all began 6 months ago, not in the deserts of North Africa, but in Royal Berkshire. I was making a film for Nationwide about that very British event, the Windsor Horse Show, when I saw them. A team of show jumpers, not from Germany or France, but from Colonel Gaddafi's Libya. There they were, competing rather incongruously against the Blue Bloods of England. I interviewed them, the film was transmitted, and I forgot all about it. But then a few weeks later, out of the blue, I got a phone call from Tripoli. The film had been seen by the colonels of the revolution, and they'd liked it. Now they offered me, at their expense, a unique opportunity, an invitation to the Tripoli 6-day horse show, an event and background normally closed to Western television crews.
So here I am in Tripoli, the capital of Libya, or Jamahiriya as it's known, the state of the masses, a quixotic, almost impulsive country. There aren't, for example, any street maps of Tripoli. That may be because every 3 years or so they change the names of the streets. And when you go shopping in the morning, you never know what you might be able to buy or might not be able to buy. For example, the last 9 months, you haven't been able to buy a lavatory roll unless you went into an army shop, and I suppose the army would have those sort of things anyway. And then suddenly, in the middle of Tripoli, you come across something like this. It looks like the cover of that arch publication of the British Shah's Horse and Hound, but it's not. It's an advertisement for the talking point of the week, the Great Horse Show. And here it is in English, the Libyans who jumped at Hickstead.
But perhaps Libya's fascination with show jumping is not quite so surprising. The horse has been a part of the Arab way of life since the time of Muhammad himself. And the 6-day show in Tripoli demonstrates that for many Libyans it still is. Because the event is more than just another date in the international show jumping calendar. It also marks a gathering of nearly 2,000 Bedouin tribesmen for their own highly spectacular sideshow. They camp out here for 10 days and then wait patiently in a queue which stretches as far as the eye can see to take part in their own competition. No, it isn't a race, as the rather bemused camels who lollop up and down in their finery could tell you if they didn't remain as impassive as the desert itself. The riders must gallop at full speed in line abreast. It's a reminder that this was once the fastest way of travelling across the desert.
Nowadays, high-ranking officials and guests like myself are whizzed about in German-made limousines, fuelled on petrol at 70 pence per gallon. But still the highest-ranking official of them all, the leader, as he likes to be known here, Colonel Gaddafi, sees himself at heart as a simple horseman.
Now, you're a busy man. Do you find much time for riding these days?
على كل أنا نحب الفروسية ونحاول كل ما وجدت وقت أني أمارس الرياضة الفروسية.
He likes riding, and any time that he can spare, he would use for riding horses.
And I have no objection to participate in any international sport of horsing, particularly in race. In any place in the world, even in your country.
But while Colonel Gaddafi contemplates a career in horse racing, the official competitors warm up for the real business of the week, international show jumping. There are 17 teams competing from nations as diverse as Romania and Algeria. And of course, there's Great Britain, red-coated to a man. Britain is led by 22-year-old Michael Whitaker from Cheshire, one of our leading show jumpers. He's come hot foot, or boot, from the Horse of the Year show at Wembley. So what are the main differences he's found here?
Well, the biggest difference is, at Wembley we've been inside, and the show before that we've been inside, and then we get here and we're outside and it's real hot. In England we're just getting ready for the winter, and then they come in and it's 80 odd again. That's the biggest difference.
And what about the food, even for horses, could be very different here?
Yeah, but we've all got our own food, and air and everything like that for the horses. The only thing what they've got to do here is drink their water, which I think is alright, must be.
Do you drink it?
No.
Meanwhile, in the stables, the grooms are at work. Michael Whitaker's horse, Disney Way, is the Great British Hope. Disney Way is one of England's most successful show jumpers, winning £20,000 in the past 12 months. And the British team believe that he and Whitaker have an excellent chance of winning the week's biggest competition, the climax to the whole show, the Grand Prix, on the last night. But even the best combination of horse and rider can sometimes run into trouble. And as Whitaker and Disney Way are completing a round in an earlier competition, disaster suddenly strikes. The Libyans themselves bring a dashing and sometimes risky style to the world of international show jumping, a style which Michael Whitaker feels could sometimes be moderated.
They're tending to do everything too fast and galloping and going and not thinking about what they're doing. If it's a speed class, instead of trying to jump the fences, they're trying to go as fast as they can. Whereas we try and jump the fences first, and think about the clock second.
This could go back to the Arab horses that we see at the Arab horse competition. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, they were going there.
But it's not only these show jumpers who have to be prepared. Amidst the desert scrubland away from the show ring, the tribesmen are also making their preparations. Though they're descended from the nomadic Bedouin, most of them are now settled farmers, and they don't ride their horses to this annual gathering, they load them onto the back of pickup trucks. It's an operation which they make look very easy. Meanwhile, in the more formal surroundings of the show jumping ring, the English course builder and his Libyan assistants are getting ready for the main attraction of the week, the Grand Prix. The stands, all of which are free, are already full of local enthusiasts. But with so much traditional Arab horsemanship still very much alive, why has Libya spent so much time and money on Western show jumping? Is it one big publicity exercise to enhance the tarnished reputation of the colonel and his nation?
We adopted jumping off
Yes.
for others,
Yes.
particularly Libyans, to establish relationship, to establish bridges between us and these peoples that are interested in this sport of jumping off.
So you think you can make more friends through show jumping?
Of course,
then?
and it is the main goal of this activity is to establish a friendship with other peoples in East and West.
As darkness falls around the show jumping arena and the Grand Prix begins, the big moment arrives for Michael Whitaker and Disney Way, challenged this time not only by the fences but by the clock as well. For them, the evening is to end in triumph, a clear round and the best time in the jump-off, and first prize. It's a night which Michael Whitaker won't forget. In fact, he was to be presented with his cup twice, once after the competition finished, and once again after the other star of the evening made his slightly delayed entrance. The arrival of Colonel Gaddafi is a cue for half an hour of tumultuous applause, and for a moment it looks as if the Colonel, show jumpers and all, will sink forever under a sea of supporters and Libyan pressmen. It was now the Colonel's turn to show us his horsemanship in the company of the thousands of Bedouin who'd invaded the ring. Then he begins an impromptu speech from the saddle, congratulating the winning British team, while attacking Margaret Thatcher's government, along with the former Italian occupiers of Libya, and of course the nation he sees as his bitterest enemy, Israel. But the cries of El Fattah, the leader, which greet the Colonel, are not the only way in which country and regime get the message across. When I was leaving Libya, they gave me a record which tells the same story, but this time Western style.
I need your help, my friend. Give me a hand. The world do need a change. Let's make a stand. Let us start going east. Let's not go west. Let us go straight ahead, well that's the best. Let us breathe some fresh air. Let us be bright. Let us all think ahead. Follow the green light. Let's work for ourselves. Let us be smart. Let us all share a life. Make a fresh start today.
The words of that song sum up Libya's propagandist view of itself. But there's another side to Colonel Gaddafi's regime. He's been accused of taking part in political murder, both at home and abroad, and of supporting international terrorism, in particular the IRA. And he's made no secret of his belief that the state of Israel should be removed from the face of the earth.